Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. on Wednesday, November 13th, 2024, and this meeting of the Sandpoint Parks and Recreation Commission is now called to order. For the record, I am Chairman Chris Ankeny presiding in the City Council chambers in City Hall, 1123 Lake Street in Sandpoint, Idaho. Commission members present or absent. I think the only person we're missing is Tyler. Okay. Okay, we will now proceed with approval of the minutes from the commission's last meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from October 9th, 2024 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. David?
Okay, we're gonna change it.
Jessica will second.
Okay. Okay, if we want to just go around the room quick to vote, with your name, so we can record that in the minutes. Let's start here, Eric.
Sure, my name's Eric Donenfeld, and I need to vote for what?
To approve the minutes.
Oh. Okay, sure, yes, approved.
Cynthia Ripa and approved. I was.
You seconded, yeah.
Yeah, so.
So
Taylor Long, yes.
and Gwen.
Not.
She gives a
She
thumbs
approves.
up. Okay. She's good.
The motion passes, minutes have been approved. We don't have any new, old business that I'm aware of, and there's nothing noted on the agenda. Under new business, we have a few things, but we're gonna start with the introduction of the new, facility supervisor, Danielle Lubis.
Yeah.
Did I say that
Yeah,
right?
Daniel Lubisi.
Lubisi.
Yep.
Fancy.
Yeah, I'm the new facility supervisor for the James E. Russell Sports Center. I've been here now, 2 weeks, maybe 2.5, something like that. I come from Surprise, Arizona, so I've worked there for the last 20 years in Parks and Recreation, doing everything from running pools, events, rec centers, a little bit of everything, so excited to be out here.
Why is it a surprise that you're from Arizona?
You have a family, kids?
Yes, yeah, I do. I have a wife and 4 kids. They're still in Arizona. We're a blended family, waiting to finalize some stuff with moving kids out here with courts and that kind of stuff. Be a little bit.
Yep.
They're coming out for Thanksgiving next week, so that's good.
Is this our first time out, or had they visited before?
Yeah, we visited this area a handful of times. The last couple of years. I have some friends that live out here, so that's where I'm staying with right now, and then run the house for a little bit. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. Anything else on that? Anybody have any questions for Daniel?
I mentioned it on a couple different emails that I thought it'd be useful for us to give you input and maybe even make a subcommittee of ideas for free days on things to do, not free for the public, but free of non-tennis, non-pickleball related for the Russell Center.
Mhm.
So, because we do lack indoor facilities that are large enough to facilitate, kids or adults or, I think someone had a really good idea for opening it up for a couple hours for seniors to be able to walk. So I really, it's gonna be huge for the community to have you here in the center and like to see it used and optimized as much as we possibly can, maybe even run it later in the evening for in the wintertime. We just don't have much indoor stuff. If you're not at the YMCA or if you're not in small other little groups in town, there's just not a lot of indoor things and people can get down in the wintertime. So I'd like to see that used.
Yeah, I hear you, and we're working on that. So there is, I'm actually working on a schedule right now to integrate. Well, we already have a schedule as far as tennis and kickball times and everything. But I'm also working on adding to that a time, different times for people to be able to come use the facility to walk. And then we're also kind of taking in mind other potential uses for the facility, to get other user groups and activities and stuff as well. So,
Great.
We have a great community room there that I guess is supposed to fit about 50 people with tables and chairs.
Wow, that'd be nice.
And then even better, like during the summertime, they have this roll-up glass garage door that opens up to a patio that I believe can accommodate another 50 plus people. I want to say more than that, but I don't want to give a for definite answer. But I know it can essentially double that usage. Over the summertime, we had a woman come and ask if she could start doing like yoga classes and yoga dance booty classes is what it's called. So it's a yoga, but it's got like a beat to it. She's really interested in providing those kinds of extracurricular classes through that community room. And I think that's our best method for programmable space right now, to have classes and to have community events. And I mean, we're kind of in the works of trying to figure out how we can do like an indoor winter movie for the community and bring in a theater system, kind of like we did across the street for the movie in the park that was done in August. There's plenty of space in this facility to be able to bring in something that big and project it out so people can come in and do a great big community indoor event. So
That's
we're
great.
tapping into the creativity that Daniel's brought with him and his 20 years of recreation experience and what I know so far of what's.
So what's the best way for us to push information and ideas to you for these particular groups that are needy? Because you're not from here necessarily, you might not know particular needs.
yeah, I guess, and I'm sorry, I don't have business cards yet. They have been ordered. But I guess, emailing would be a great way. As well as, we have our Facebook page and that stuff too, so.
Maybe on the minutes to today's meeting, we could put his email address if you don't mind.
We can just share that with you.
He's kind of mobile right now, so we have a cubicle for him, but his office space is gonna be at the front desk of the Russell Center. Obviously, it's not open for anybody to be in or in a condition for people to work there, so he's got space here that he's
Mhm.
working. And they're still adjusting his workspace, so, but his emails work. And if he needs to make phone calls, he jumps into my office too.
Well, I did get a phone, so. I have a phone.
Okay, he's got a phone now.
Hi, Daniel. This is Gwen. I don't know if it's a good time to chime in, but I wanted to say welcome as well. And I also wanted to kind of bring back to the table those tours that we had talked about. I saw one invite for a tour like after our first meeting, and I wasn't able to make the date or time, but I would still love to get in there and see the facility as a commission member, and also to get to meet you as well.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. We can set up a time to do that.
Would you be able to facilitate the tours, or do we need like Maeve or somebody else that's involved in the project?
I think I'd be able to do that, right? Matter
know,
of setting it
I
up with
would-
Maeve and,
Yeah. I would include
yeah, I mean,
Maeve
she
in
would
the
be.
Conversation, because I think we're still in a hard hat.
Sure.
So if we're still requesting, if they're still requesting hard hats for us to wear, then we'd probably have to have a little bit of an escort taking us. But I don't think that should.
I was also curious, I saw that there was like your assistant position, or I can't remember what you're calling it. How is the hiring for that going?
Good. We have interviews tomorrow. We're gonna be in interviews pretty much all day tomorrow, I think. For that, so we're excited. We have some good applicants.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excited
Great.
to see it open and have the public in there and all of you in there.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to get it open. Have a permanent home.
Sandpoint, that's great.
We'll show you at City Hall.
Okay, we ready to move on? Anything else for Daniel?
Thank you.
Okay, so Katie and I met up like a week ago or so ago and just chatted about this commission, kind of the purpose and idea behind it, and we're still kind of feeling our way through that, I think, but we thought it might be a good exercise is to take a little time. I know at the very first meeting, we kind of did a brief introduction and why we chose to volunteer for this, but we wanted to spend a little bit more time on that, in part because you guys are all taking time out of your days. You're rushing over here from whatever kind of day you had or whatever. We're all trying to get here and participate in this because we care about Sandpoint and, the opportunities that Parks and Rec offers, obviously. But we wanted to spend a little more time and dig a little deeper into that so that, we can pay attention to those topics that are important to you. It's sometime throughout the year, or throughout these next couple months or whatever, make sure we get those important topics on the agenda so that we're talking about and discussing building projects around it or whatever direction you want to take it. What do you think is the best way to do this, Katie? Do you want to just pick 3 volunteers? I noticed it said 3 on there, right? 3.
I mean,
Or it's agenda number 3.
oh, that's a. No, I think we're looking at, because it is a year that we're here, but that year goes by really quick when we only have 1 meeting. And I think at some point we've got to come up with the idea of where our goals are for this commission. Do we have a wish list of programs that we need to start tackling, and how we can get the community involved in assuring that we're meeting our goals and expectations of this. So I guess if whoever wants to go first, and then we'll look it around the table to discuss a little bit further what everybody's why story is, what made this their choice for a commission to join, and their passions for the recreation and parks, I guess, division, with the city. It helps me in figuring out where my guidelines are as well. I have a box with which I can play, but I need everybody else's input on how far I can and what I need to be doing while I'm in this box, trying to figure out the recreational needs and what the community is really looking for. And I believe everybody at this table has a passion for recreation and so playing outside and getting the kids outside, and seniors and accessibility being a big topic as well. It'd be nice to really nail that down in my head where we're going with this commission.
Yeah, and specifically, do you have I would really want to talk about spaces for seniors to locker in or whatever the programming or different idea that you have. Let's make sure we're that specific so that we can get it on the agenda and we can, advise the city councilor, the mayor on a specific topic.
And I can start it out if you want me to.
Sure.
Okay, my name's Eric Donnenfeld. I own Northwest Auto Body in Sandpoint and Ponderay and Bonner's Ferry. Lived here, born and raised my whole entire life. Moved away just 1 year, just good enough to figure out how nice it is, and moved back. I've sat on the mini boards. I am a fellow member of the Sandpoint Rotary Club. I sat on their board for 4 years. Also was an intricate part of the Ponderay Bay Trail. We raised $1.2 million when I was on their board for the first 3 purchases of the Ponderay Bay Trail. So that was pretty fun to be part of that. Still pretty passionate about that. Volunteer for all sorts of things, and I really love to mountain bike ride. I played high level soccer myself, and my kids play, and we mountain bike together. We played frisbee golf at the frisbee golf course, and we love the trail systems around town. Just all sorts of different things. I mean, we're big boaters on the lake if we have time. Schweitzer is a priority, of course. We love Schweitzer and getting around and give back to a lot of things in the community. A huge donator to the food bank. That's one of my big passions. So I really like the food bank and Debbie over there. I like to spend time with them. And I mean, so many other little things I like to donate my time to and help out with, but you can only do so much. I have 2 kids, a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old, both boys. And that's a lot of fun and a lot of energy. And so my main passion, the reason I joined this committee was because I wanted to have a say in the direction of the city, and I wanted to make sure that those valuable items that I see that are valuable and that I see kids around the community, or adults or seniors around the community using, just don't disappear and dry up, that they have a voice. And while I might gear toward some of this towards myself, I just like to donate back and make sure we're here for future generations stuff. So a couple main passions of mine right now. And I emailed to you earlier today, I believe, to somebody, that at city clerk, I thought that we are lacking a little inner connecting trail systems between, we have them between the communities, although um, the one to Ponderay from Sandpoint, it is a little bit weird. You have to go all the way to Bridge Street. When I saw them redoing the road between Ponderay and Sandpoint, and they weren't putting in a bike path there, was a little bit alarming. It just seemed like it was so close to being able to put a bike path right there, and I see too many people riding their bikes and cutting that corner, and so that was a little bit alarming, and it was already in the process of being done. So, I really like to see a little connector bike path between those two communities where you don't have to go to Bridge Street. There's just too many people that want to cut that corner, and it's unsafe for them to ride their bike. Um, Another main passion of mine is like sports and stuff like that in general. I love to, we play Thanksgiving football and all these different things, and I play soccer, I mentioned already. So I donate to both soccer teams and clubs in town. I used to run the Sandpoint Strikers indoor facility, and that is the only indoor place for soccer to be played in all of Bonner County that I'm aware of. And
I'm sorry, so-
that is the Striker Arena. It's the goat barn and the fairgrounds. They roll out and spread out all the goat poop. I'm dead serious because I helped them scrape it, and they roll carpet over top of it. That is the only indoor facility that I'm aware of. Now, there are gym usage that you can get through the city that are $10 an hour for nonprofits and $20 an hour for larger groups or larger facilities. Newport in general, because I go over there and run a soccer program over there, just donate to them. And because they don't have like a big soccer community, but they have a new leader over there that we're helping with. They give their facilities to their nonprofits for free. So we run a little soccer clinic over there for free, and people come over from Bonners and all Cusick and all sorts of places. So those are just kind of things that stand out to me, is that, and it's not just for soccer, it's also like indoor football, indoor whatever. I don't know, baseball. I don't know if you can really do that indoors, but um, a lot of, we're lacking indoor space for these kids to run off and stay out of trouble and stay off of video games and, be hopefully, ideally more productive citizens in life, more healthy citizens in life. And like, maybe they have enough passion to go on for the rest of their life and play high level sports. But if not, they can always fall back to that. They can always know that they have that inner strength in them to dig deep and battle through a game or whatever. So those are some passionate things. I mean, I have so many other things I like to do. Long bridge swim. I donate to the long bridge swim and I teach kids how to swim. Love that. Um, I don't know what else. Is there any other? Do you have any questions?
Make me want to take a nap listening to you.
This is the tip of the iceberg. Oh, I'm doing a mural on the side of, I own the storage units. My brother and I own the storage units on the side of Division Street, storage units across the entrance to the high school. So we have presented to the high school and we want them to take it over, but it's challenged to work with the high school stuff. Donating a whole side of a wall to the high school to have their senior mural. Every single year they redo a mural. So, I think it'd be really cool. We want to have the economic, clubs raise the money. We want to have the government clubs apply to the city to have their mural approved. We want the arts team to go and actually paint it. So we want everybody to be involved with it in the senior class, of course, too. It's been really a challenge to get that going. But meanwhile, on the other wall, because there's two buildings with two walls, I personally applied to the city to do a mural on the side of it because I do art a little bit as well. So I have 1 year to accomplish that. And so I have all the paint donated to me by Miller Store and stuff like that to do that. But the weather's not very conducive for painting.
Yes. But just in terms of things that you would be interested in kind of using this space for, what I picked up is looking at the connecting the community trails together. That's a big deal.
Yes, and like there's another little one between the Frisbee golf course, because we love to do the Frisbee golf course. There's a little old trail system through there right next to the train tracks that actually connects to Baldy to Pine Street. So, it'd be really cool for someone to actually put that trail back together and make that a little travel through trail for the community to travel through. Plus, there's a lot of seniors that need places to walk that are nice and flat, and it's pretty flat. So little things like that, it's not very far away from connecting a lot more of these. Now there's costs and stuff to the, but it's a bunch of little just little patches of trails that are missing to truly connect the two.
Thanks. Cool.
And then of course I mentioned Frisbee golf course. I think it's super valuable. Can't tell you how many seniors I see walking out there playing Frisbee golf. It's incredible. Kids, dogs, a place for dogs to run around. So that's another passion.
How about you, Cynthia?
You want me to follow back?
Right.
Well, I'm a newbie in the community, but, I was a health and fitness teacher. 39 years, couldn't make it to 40. And I coached, I did volleyball, basketball and track field. And I did a lot of organizing. I did a lot of volleyball tournaments, district volleyball tournaments. I ran track meets. So I have a lot of tools as far as, I've organized ninth grade graduation, all that kind of stuff. So I have a lot of tools to help with organizing like programs, things like that. One need that I see, and I'm passionate about it because I was at middle school most of the time. I worked at middle school and high school kids. And it's good. They need to be active to stay out of trouble and make good choices. From where I came from to here, it seems, but I'm not in the schools, but the kids I do see always seem very respectful, and they're, like the other day behind my house, 3 kids are skateboarding down the road, and I'm like, that's great, I love it, and I'm walking downtown and they're downtown still skateboarding all the way, but being very respectful. And I do see that out of our kids in this area. It's really cool to see. Kids should be able to play outside. I do know there's a need for younger families, and I'm saying this because I have one granddaughter, but they don't have anywhere to go in the winter either, now that you're saying that. The only playground is the bridge. And, that only holds so many people. That might be something that you could maybe add. Maybe in the mornings, I think would be best for those guys.
But what age group specifically?
Just like food, not be preschool. So there's just no place to go. In the summer, there's a lot of places to go. There's not a lot in the winter. And I guess I'm just here to help out. If you're running something and you need someone to help organize or whatever, I can do that. And I myself, I walk the trails all the time. I walk almost every day out, which is nice. I do love the trails. I think you guys have a lot of trails. But I do like that. There's trails I haven't even walked on yet. Connecting. And I'm a senior, but I don't feel like I have to be careful where I walk. I'm like, I love it when it snows and no one's on the trail because I can just go. It's my trail. So if no one's on it, I'm on it.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Yep, thank you.
I'm Jessica Jansen. I've been here since 2008. I have twin 12-year-olds who were born and raised here, and have been highly involved in being outdoors, and part of every trail, every playground, multiple programs and things that have been offered through Parks and Rec. Tennis in the summer, outdoor range, the unplug and go outside programming that I think a few years back, we've done them all. So I think part of my desire to be involved is just, I think I have a lot of experience with it and can bring that to that perspective, as someone who's parented children here, in both genders with different, interests, in this community from start to finish. I also have a background in early childhood education and I'm a nurse, so I think I can bring perspective also in terms of accessibility needs, what's developmentally appropriate for children at different age groups, what their needs are and where the possible hurdles are. Now that I personally am parenting two middle schoolers, I'm watching their needs and emotionally and physically are changing as well. And similar to what Eric mentioned, I see a renewed interest in making sure they have opportunities for large motor play that don't to disengage from electronics and do things that are, you know, using their body and interacting with peers. They're involved in a fair bit of sports and things. But I think one need that might be something to kind of keep on the burner, if you will, is that I think there are a lot of, granted, there's a lot of us families in town that are fairly sporty and four-season sportsmen, but there are a fair amount that aren't as well. And I think we need to be mindful of that. There are a lot of kids that don't play a particular sport or maybe only play one sport in a certain season and don't have a, you know, there's people that live here that don't ski. There's people that live here that don't mountain bike and don't fish and don't do other things. And how do we find activities and things to engage kids that aren't necessarily strictly within a sports context? You know, that's where I brought up like having the bounce houses or having a Nerf gun war or, you know, whatever it may be, just something to get kids to run around and interact that's not necessarily within the confines of an organized sport. Because I think that's a barrier for some families that aren't super sporty or don't have anyone that plays that. They're intimidated by the equipment, whatever, you know, there's lots of other ways to use your body that don't involve that or simple games or things you can learn in 5 minutes and run around and have a good time. I mean, when my kids were young, just playing, they could play tag for hours. You don't need to know much, you know, low barrier to entry on that one. So I guess I see opportunities like that where can we come up with ideas that don't, that aren't necessarily sports oriented, because we have so many awesome sports options here. But what do we do for those kids and those families that want something else? So, and to piggyback on what she said, having had toddlers in this community at one point and trying to look for ways to stay outside. I know there is a new private facility in town for indoor play. But it caps out around like age 10 or 11. So, and it's, I think it's great for young kids, but, you know, again, cost is probably a barrier for some families there. And then, there used to be an organized play group every Wednesday at the Lutheran church in town that had some large play, area opportunities. They had some tunnels and some climbing options and things for kids. And my kids were a part of that for a number of years. I don't know if that's even still a thing. I mean, this was like 10 years ago. So, but other than that, I don't know of any, you know, like she said, there's not a whole, I think there's a whole sector there of that preschool age that aren't yet in a formal program that between, you know, moving around and going to school, that 1 to 3, 1 to 4 age, where there's a lot of parents who I think would love to have some opportunities. And when my children were that age, personally, the bridge didn't have the big structures and stuff that it does now. I
Yeah.
mean, now it's amazing. My kids would have loved that when they were younger. And we're lucky to have that, but you know, I think there's always opportunity there to come up with something. And also, what I learned from being a part of a group like that is not only is that for the kids, but it was really for us. We moms, many of the families I met when my children were infants, we're still friends now. And now our children are in junior high again together, even though we all kind of went the different elementaries, we've come back together and we're still family friends with many of them. So I think there's an opportunity there to build community for parents, that just want that social connection, want to meet other parents and connect. So yeah, so I guess in summary, I'm really interested in middle school and teen programming personally, and I think there also exists a need for the early childhood end of the spectrum.
Okay. Thank you.
My name's David Miles and I've been here since 1989, not born and raised, but you know, basically. And now my kids are born and raised here, and we've spent a lot of time just doing, you know, sports. They're both very athletic kids, and they want to do sports. And one thing that I've sort of found in their journey with them is, yeah, this sort of indoor option in the wintertime, right? Especially young kids, they're all sharing the gyms if you're in basketball or volleyball or whatever winter sport you're in. And I just feel like they're always sharing the gym. So someone gets, you know, the bad end of the deal and they have to practice late. And, you know, for our family, that was really hard. Okay, we got to be at practice at 9 o'clock. That's way past my bedtime. And so that, you know, I think that just kind of lends itself to, I wish we had more indoor opportunities, specifically in the winter. This is going to sound really weird, but I was sad when they tore down the old McDonald's because it actually had a play place, right? And it was like, we used to take our kids buy a cheeseburger, but it was more like they could play in the play place, right? And so I really do feel like we're missing some of those things. I've also been working with kids now for the last little over 20 years in the school system here, and I hear the same thing over and over, and I've been hearing it for the entire 20 years that I've been a teacher. There's nothing to do here in general. And I work specifically with kids now who have zero interest in sports. They do that. That's the absolute last thing that they want to do. But they want to do something that's sort of physical and play. And again, I think that comes right back to especially indoor opportunities in the wintertime, right? There's just nothing for them to do. A lot of them are skateboarders, you know, and some of them are skiers and whatnot, but they're not really into that like organized athletic thing. So they need something to do that's not organized athletics. I actually love the like Nerf war guns. That would
Oh.
be super awesome.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
there were some places that even had specialized, that wasn't Nerf, but something similar.
laser
Yeah,
tag or-
exactly.
yeah.
Laser tag would be super,
Or
awesome.
dodgeball.
Totally. So I love all of those ideas. It was just right, the winter activities, with all of these kids. I myself, having lived here since '89, have, I guess, noticed one thing that I think is really weird. We have this amazingly awesome lake, and I just don't feel like there's any public access. We have the beach, and we have Third Street Pier, and we have a boat launch on Memorial Field. I mean, I'm just talking about city, right? Because you can't affect anything outside of the city, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
City.
as far as just city is concerned, like, it just seems weird to me that we have so little water access on this gigantic lake. I've always thought that was really odd. So I think I'm really passionate about like something, the Bay Trail, I think has been really good, and there's been some movement on that. So I think whatever needs to be done to kind of like finish that, however much is in the city of Sandpoint, obviously, is what I would like to see, or even more at Memorial Field. I just feel like there's a boat launch there, but then like that's it. I'm like, wow, why isn't there more there? So anyway, that's one thing. And then my personal passion has been disc golf in general, and this kind of comes back to the lake access as well. Part of the issue with lake access is it's really expensive to buy lands to get access. So then I think about the disc golf course and I'm like, why would the city ever in a million years consider giving up a piece of land that they own? I know that it's money and you can get a one-time payment, but a one-time payment of any amount of money is gone like that, right? Land lasts forever, right? It's not going to go away. And so I'm super passionate about the disc golf course just because, again, it's land, it's valuable. Selling it seems like that will be a loss. I mean, talk to any person ever that said, I used to have lakefront property and sold it. They're never happy about that. And I get that disc golf's not lakefront, But that also is a non-organized sport. So again, that caters to the kids that I have at, I work at Lake Pondere Alternative High School, and that's the kind of things that they're into. I just want to walk around and throw a disc and hang out with my friends. It's not an organized sport. It's low stress. There, you know, you got the kids course out there, you got the adult course, there's more room for the trails. So I'm really, really passionate about keeping that piece of land because it offers, you know, and there's a lot more you could do with it already. If we're talking about potentially an indoor location, there's room there, even with the built course as it is now, to do some sort of indoor facility. Again, that's money, a lot of money, but down the road, they would have that option to build another indoor facility on that land if that ever, you know, came to fruition. So I would say that that's probably my number one priority, passion, and goal is keeping the land that the current disc golf course is on.
Can I piggyback that and
Please.
don't sell or give up shoreline that the city owns? I know
No
that
kidding.
there's already one spot that they might have given up where Cottontown Pizza used to be that burned down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I heard they gave them part of the boardwalk there. Whoever owned that, and why do that? Keep that land for the city. Don't give up anything. I totally agree with you.
I would have to agree. I mean, I get the money and the selling part of it. I really do, except that I don't, because again, a one-time sale generates funds that only I mean, you can only use it once and it's gone. And even $1 million, I mean, that sounds like a lot, but as you know, it's not a lot actually. And it goes away so fast, and the value of that property is worth so much more than $1 million over the lifetime of especially waterfront. So that would be my passion, is you have a huge piece of land that's forested inside. I mean, it's not really inside the city limits. It's kind of weird, right? Like
It was annexed in.
it was annexed in. Okay, so you have a huge piece of forested property inside the city limits. It would be silly to get rid of that.
Same disc golf. You're involved in?
Yeah, so I was gonna say the same thing. I can, if you're finished, I can start.
Yes.
Okay, so my name's Josh Lucci. So I've been involved with actually I started with a different disc golf course in 2012. Well, back up further than that, I've been in Sandpoint since 1991. So I was raised here. And when I heard that they were gonna put a disc golf course over on the Boyer property, I helped organize that and build it. And as some of you have, I think Taylor helped out, Dave and Eric. Anyways, if you drive by now, it's just a bunch of houses. So they took that property, it was the University of Idaho property, and they sold it and developed it into houses, not affordable houses, but just houses. So anyway, we moved the whole course. We had to take concrete and the signs and the baskets and everything and moved it all to Baldy. And that's where it currently exists on a 32-acre piece of property. Show of hands, who has been on the Ballfoot disc golf course? You have, so everybody. Have you been on it?
Not yet.
So just to give you a little background, there's disc golf course on that property. It was a sewer property that apparently is no longer going to be used for sewer, but it's still owned by the sewer district. So there is a possibility that Parks and Rec or another part of the city could buy it from the sewer department. It's not a very developable piece of land because there's a railroad track, there's wetlands. So it's kind of, the advantage is that the price tag on that property is pretty low for what it is. It's 32 acres. And the other cool thing is if you look at the comp plan that was just approved, everything in here aligns with that property. So it talks about open spaces, it talks about the survey that they did and all the city residents said, we want open space, we want parks, we want recreation opportunities. And this one can be done with a really low cost. I mean, right now, everything's done by volunteers. So just last weekend, I had 32 kids out there from Sandpoint High School, Forestburg Charter School, and Colville actually bussed kids over to help out on our course, Colville High School. So there's a lot of people that like this course. It doesn't need a lot of development. It can stay just kind of an open space for now. And I just, my passion is just to keep this property. It's not even disc golf really. It's just to keep this property for disc golf and all the other purposes that we can use that land for. Like Dave was saying, you could build something there for other recreation. You could do trails, you could do a bike park, you could do a dog park. I mean, there's so much you could do with that property. So yeah, that's why I joined, because I'm passionate about that. I'm a member of the board for the Great Northern Disc Golf, and that's the board that currently runs the disc golf course out there. And like I said, we do everything through volunteers. And you know, if you've never been out there, you should definitely go check it out. It's a beautiful piece of property that started out as just kind of a unkept, you know, raw piece of property, and we cut trails and trim trees. We mow it out there and we keep it all parked out. So it's really cool. So yeah, that's my number one priority and something I want to accomplish as well. Discussion.
Just want to introduce myself first. I missed the first two meetings. My name is Taylor Long. I was in Virginia, the first one caring for my dad who's dying, and then in the fog of that, I just missed the second announcement. So apologies to all of you there. Really, I was pleased to see the mayor bring back citizen advisory committees. I think that government exists to serve the public and the people who are there. I moved to Sandpoint in 2012 with my wife. And so I've seen a lot of change in Sandpoint in that amount of time. Some of you have been here longer and seen even more. When I saw the Parks and Rec Citizen Commission being formed, I wanted to jump in. I have a bachelor's degree in recreation, parks, and tourism management, and my previous work history was in outdoor experiential education. That's a passion of mine. And currently on the board of the Sandpoint Sailing Association. But going back to just all the change I've seen, I just want to make sure that places like the Baldy Disc Golf Course don't disappear, that the people of Sandpoint have, you know, that recreation remains accessible. Completely agree with that. All kinds of recreation, not just organized sports. So, yeah, nice to meet all of you. Thank you.
Gwen, do you wanna chat?
I do. Can you guys hear me?
Very well.
Okay, great. Joining from my hotel in Boise. I work for the Department of Land, so I'm down here at a meeting. But I moved to Sandpoint in 2006. Shortly thereafter, Cami might know, I joined the Parks and Rec Commission. I have followed steadily along since I've lived here as soon as I became involved. And then I too was sad to see us take a big break and then was excited to see us come back. And so I originally joined for professional development. I'm not going to lie. I have 2 degrees in recreation. I have an undergraduate degree in outdoor ed and a graduate degree in recreation, parks, and leisure services administration. So I originally was doing it kind of for a resume builder, and then fell in love with the team and the commission and Cami and the crew. And so it's just been awesome to kind of see the department grow and survive and thrive and adapt and overcome, and have years where there was money and years where there hasn't been money. I have 2 children and a dog and a husband. My husband teaches at the alternative high school where David teaches. So my list, Chris, I kind of have been drafting as everybody else has been talking. I'm interested in the Parks and Rec master plan, the long-term planning, the watershed in particular, the Bay Trail, the conservation, and the forward thinking for the lands we do have and the lands that we perhaps want to acquire. I do work in conservation easements for the Department of Lands, and a couple of the things that people have said have sparked my interest in, possibly there's ways to get some funding to accomplish purchasing those or holding those in easements that come with money. So excited to hear that. I too worked on the Bay Trail project in the Parks and Rec side when it was just being purchased. So I would love to follow that project as long as I'm able to walk. I am interested in fishing access and more public access to the waters as well. I spent my first year and a half working with IDL in the waterways on Lake Pend Oreille. So I have a unique set of background and resources in terms of public access in the waterways. I am interested in Hickory Park, the play area in particular, in just making that better. I know my husband's students use that park often, but I use that park to walk my dog, and that park for the littles is just not adequate compared to the other parks that we have in the city. I'm interested in outdoor education, trying to help with the lifeguard problem that we seem to have, bridging the gap perhaps with the Y, if we can work with them to accomplish, training or whatever it is. And then just like creative ways to get money and or accomplish some of the tasks that we talked about in the beginning when we know that it's going to be a year where there's not money to work on other projects that maybe don't cost as much money, but offer a lot of value to the community. So that's just kind of my brief brainstorm. And I don't know if you have any questions or thoughts. Since I'm not in the room, it's not as easy to hear or see.
Oh, that's great, Gwen. Thank you.
Yes.
I guess I'm the last one. My name is Chris Ankeny. I moved to Sandpoint in 2002. I've lived all over the West. I grew up in Eastern Montana. I moved here from San Francisco. And it seemed like for a long time, like I was just, I'd get to know an area, play, recreate, work, all that kind of stuff. And okay, time to move on, go explore someplace else. Then I drove across the Long Bridge, and it's like, this is it. So, been here ever since. And yeah, I really just want to give back to Sandpoint. It's a city that's given so much to me. So I just want to give back. And this felt like a good alignment with who I am as a person to participate in Parks and Rec and work toward preserving what we have and expanding opportunities. I am also on the board with Taylor on the Sandpoint Sailing Association. That's been a huge passion of mine for the last, 5-7 years, something like that. And would love to just have dialogue about community water access. Like, how do we make it easier for people not only to access the shoreline, but also access being on the water? So yeah, I'd like to, at some point, weave in conversations about how the city may have opportunities to partner with Sandpoint Sailing and create some really cool opportunities for both young people and adults in the community. Okay.
It's giving me a lot to think about. There's some things so regarding like the kids programs, because that's kind of been it's been my recreational passion that's gotten me into this field and that has kept me in this field. There's a lot of things that would want you, kind of force you to want to leave. But when you work with kids and you work with the community and you have a receptive group of people that are open to lines of communication, it just kind of backs it backs you up that this is where you want to be and this is the job you want to do. And I have noticed that there is, in my opinion, being involved in a bunch of different recreational entities from one side of the country to the other, there is that component with kids that the sports is not their jam. And what do we do when we have kids who competitive sports is not their jam? And then we have the pockets of age groups, especially the little ones. I have seen, when I was in Clark County Parks and Recreation, one of the girls came up and she goes, I want to run a little ninjas class. And it was toddlers climbing on mats and putting a little ball into a hoop and, weaving through cones and balancing on a really small balance beam. And it was probably one of the easiest programs we were able to put together with the space that we had. And that turned into one of our really incredibly popular classes. We had Tiny Tot soccer, and it wasn't necessarily teaching them the skills of soccer. It's their motor skills. It's kicking the ball. It's playing with their parents. It's having the parental involvement in these programs. So we are definitely looking into this. Spokane Parks and Recreation, they have a toddler program that's designed for the sports. So the basketball, soccer, all of just simple motor skills. And I'm working with them on how they did it and trying to see avenues that we can explore here to bring those programs over. Because obviously staffing is an issue. They do go through a third party that brings in the staff, brings in the equipment. We just provide the space for them. So it is on my radar to work with that age group. Teenagers has always been a difficult one, I think, in recreation because they want organized, but they don't want adults organizing it for them. And once you get to that point where you used to be like the cool counselor, you're in your 20s, they actually like hanging out with you to now 47 years old. I'm more of the mom form. And I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm the mom that's putting it together now. I'm not the cool counselor that's the fun and games with them. But I would like to be able to figure out a way of giving them the recreational space that they need to be able to do what they want to do in a safe, obviously fun environment. Daniel and I have been talking regarding the programs inside the James E. Russell. The walking was a very big one. I have gotten nonstop emails ensuring that we do have space for the seniors to be able to move and walk without it being on an icy pathway. So that's definitely in our programming. It's in our programming capacity right now to be able to add that to our calendar at times to make that accessible for folks to be able to do it.
Is that not possible to do concurrently while there are people playing?
That's.
Is there not?
Yeah,
Oh, it is
because there's
possible.
room, around.
Oh, okay. And the way that the netting and such
Mhm.
works, they could safely,
They would get hit by a ball.
that's great.
There's the building itself from the outside looks different than when you see it on the inside. There is so much space and they have done a really good job with the layout of the courts to allow so much room on either side.
Yeah.
At first it was the concept of where can we store our nets if we need to push them off to the court space? Well, we've got storage, but we also have enough room to be able to move things around to ensure that there is always going to be availability for people to go and do the indoor walking. It's wonderful.
One thing that's always a challenge in Sandpoint and surrounding areas is cost. If there's a cost that's connected with it, then it deters people. So I'm not sure how the city plans on kind of maneuvering that and dealing with that. Anytime you can make it completely free for, let's say, an open play and around the outside of the gym, kids can just run. I think that's the most important thing to keep in mind, and that you haven't really experienced that cost will really, really put a wall up towards people. They just hear it's a couple dollars could potentially turn a whole family off. So I'm not sure how you maneuver that and how you, hey, we're gonna do the first month free and then we're gonna charge. I don't know. But that's something that's gonna be very, very important to be able to navigate that, right? To keep it open for people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, unfortunately, there does need to be some cost involved with many of the programs because you have to be able to pay for the facility and keep it up. But the intention of the plan right now is to have the walking would be free. And then we're also gonna have a free 90-minute session once a day where the community can come in and try their hand at tennis, pickleball, and experience the facility for no cost for Sandpoint residents, so.
And did I hear it right when I did the tour that kids were gonna be free and it's just
Oh,
adults?
yes, that too. So membership, yeah,
Kids.
kids are free.
Teenagers, yeah, the kids up to 8, I believe 18, they have a free membership. to
Free
get in.
membership, yeah, that's.
And then with the recreation programs, we have a scholarship fund that has quite a bit of money in it. And Cami and I have been, we'll get into the next one as far as how am I getting this information out. We have a scholarship fund that's available. It doesn't require anybody to fill out an application. They don't have to submit tax document, none of that. It's just if you have a need and you want your kids to try our recreation programs, be it our kids' night out, our day camps, our sailing classes, our tennis classes, just email the recreation department, tell us which kids you want the scholarship applied to, and we apply it to their account. So when they jump on to register for whatever program, they've got a full calendar year to use that money that we've applied to their account.
And anytime you need like a coach for some, or you need a volunteer for some of these things, you know, after the background checks and stuff are done, I'm sure if you blast out emails to us, we all have different connections. We'd be happy to put you in the correct line of, hey, you need a Darren, the local basketball coach. He'd be happy to do a little kids free program for you. So there would be no cost to the Russell Club for those volunteers. I'm sure a lot of us can get connections for you guys if you need them, okay? So
Yeah.
just don't hesitate.
Thank you.
Do the high school kids have to do any volunteer work? For graduation or no?
No.
I know that, you know, we used to do little kids camps and we had our players help out and that was one of the most rewarding activities ever because, you know, they're older and this is awesome, but anytime coaches had camps for kids like that, and the high school kids get a lot out of it too.
Yeah, they do that some in tennis.
Right, the high school
Right,
itself
yeah.
doesn't require anything, but some of the individual sports and coaches
Yeah,
do.
do it.
And
Right,
even if they don't, anytime there's an opportunity.
but it
it's like
doesn't,
they
yeah,
jump on
and it
that,
doesn't
so.
have to be anything, you know, I mean, we used to do volleyball for third grade and up and our own kids started even younger, but you just make it simple and fun. It's supposed to be fun. It's gotta be fun. And whether it's a organized sport or little kids can do sports and things like that too.
We have this, we've hired a counselor for the non-school day camps and comes from the high school and the kids absolutely love it. It's asking him questions about a school day and what does he like to eat? And as much as Daniel and I had a great time with the kids, they asked where he was and is he coming back? And I'm like, he just has today off, but they connect so well with people that aren't necessarily looking like we could be their parents. Although they do appreciate us being there and they do want to play and engage. It's that connection between the ages that really, I think has always made camps and kids gatherings so special, is when you have it so close. Not too close, but close enough where they're still relatable to each other. And this is like a big brother teaching or,
Right.
a cousin teaching them rather than it always being adults that are their instructors. That perception and
Kids
that
make great
connection is really amazing. Yeah, they do. They really, really do.
Yeah.
And I think that's another area that I'm trying to figure out how to tap into. And I know I came in so late last year into the spring programming and the summer programming game that I couldn't get the information out fast enough to be able to get a group of people in to teach our classes or to be there for our camp programs and to try to establish new fun things to do, especially during these weeks where they don't have school. I just need to know my methods with which I can get this information out. I've tried updating our Facebook to be a little bit more consistent with our programming, and I think that's helped. But I'm super impatient with myself. And I have so much passion for these programs that I want the rest of the community to feel this passion. How do I get this out? And I think that's been my big.
Have you utilized the school district for sharing the information? Because like they will allow you to send flyers home in the backpacks. They do have to disclose that they're not LPOSD sponsored activities, but I know as a mom, I'm flooded with those. I don't know how well they, work in terms of actually producing, people picking up reservations or whatever, but I get probably 2 to 3 emailed to me per week from Washington Elementary.
They've been, our most receptive so far, as far as getting that information out and being able to put those flyers together. We also just got our program booklets that we will be submitting to the schools and distributing to the classes. I think because it's a booklet, and we only do that like twice a year. It doesn't give us the consistency that I think we need for our programs, because once you get it out to them, it could be a matter of months, and then people have forgotten that we have these programs again. And it's that constant reminder that, hey, we've got winter break coming up, and during winter break, you're not gonna have classes for this large period of time. But the recreation department's gonna be offering all sorts of fun stuff. It's that need to be able to update it, not just have it solely based off of paper. It's that digital, it's the flash information being sent out, it's the SMS text messages if we can. We are in such a digital world now that I don't want to get lost in the mix of just print. I'd like to figure out that way of getting into the schools and doing what I can do best, and that's the community to reach for that.
To piggyback on that, several of the schools, maybe they all do, but I know for sure if you do, have their own parent-teacher organization Facebook pages. And a lot of information is pushed out that way as well. So in addition to the school being, advocating for that, you might reach out to those organizations too.
Did I jump into a different?
Yeah, I think we're on number 5.
Oh, goodness. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. Yeah. I covered it. It's not very lineal. It doesn't have to be. Or maybe it does. I don't know.
I think Facebook is a good one. I noticed in years past, there weren't too many updates and things, but I've noticed it lately.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely, definitely agree.
There's been a lot. That's good. You might also try doing so for people who aren't members of your page, maybe joining I don't know if you can as a business or a city, but if you could join some of the forums, like Sandpoint Local Forum or some of those, and then you could make a post in there and say, hey, just want to let everyone know we have a new website, or hey, want to let everyone know we have a new program starting. You can just post those updates, and it seems like a lot of people read those forums.
Okay, good to know.
Good or bad, but a lot of
They're
people
in
are on
there.
this, yeah, so it might be a good way to get the word out.
Okay, thank you.
Just coming out of election season, I feel like I couldn't stop the information from coming to my phone. So I don't know, figure out however they're doing that.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe that will work because like I said, I couldn't, I mean, you could just dial stop, but
yeah.
Well, for people who sign up to get your information, maybe they could get a text to
Right.
opt into it.
and I never opted into a lot of them. So somehow they're getting that to just blast out to you. So
Yeah.
again, maybe as a government organization, you know, maybe that's how it's done. I'm not really positive on that. Maybe then it's just a register for the city, but I'd also like to point out that I'm just being a timekeeper and it's after 4. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna point that out.
We did change the agenda. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the meeting is scheduled to go until 4:30. Is that correct, Kimmy? Or did I misinterpret that? Because we can adjourn if we need to, if folks were planning on being out of here at 4. Somewhere I saw.
No, I thought it was only till 4, but
Okay.
we need to go a little bit longer.
We're in the good stuff. I'd like to keep going for a couple more minutes at least.
Yeah, and if there's some of this stuff, like reviewing the program,
Thank you for
that's something someone to view also if there's you have a booklet or something we're gonna review, or
Actually, I could bring in some of the booklets that we have.
the online?
We have not gone digital yet, but we are looking towards having our program book put up on our website. So one more thing to consider, we are getting new recreation software, and that kickoff is happening. I think our first meeting with the new software company is next Friday. It's RecTrack is the software that we're going towards. RecTrack has their app. They have an amazing front-facing customer service screen that makes it easy to find our programs, makes it a little bit easier to reserve space, mortgage, parks. James E. Russell is gonna have their own button to click to get into their programs. It's a lot, I feel it's a lot cleaner than what we've been working with. But it also gives that opportunity for us to go digital with our information. So it allows us to have a ticker on the page for all of our new and upcoming programs. I love RecTrack. I've worked with it quite often. I've worked with ActiveNet. I've worked with Rec1. I've worked with a variety of them, but I feel the one that has held true with their ability to get our information out and to make it easy for everybody to register. We will be getting that new software implemented. So hopefully that will help with people that are just coming in to check out our Parks and Recreation page. They'll get to that splash page and it's going to have all of our fun stuff, pictures, everything. And their app is really, what they've done for the application is really amazing.
Good.
I've been really passionate about it, because I know what it takes. You know, if it starts to become a pain to get your family registered for a simple program,
Yes.
they're like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this anymore. And if it continues that way and you have to click out to go and add your board, to click out to go and get a park, to click out to go and register for a kids program, people don't have time for that anymore. So I think that this might be one of the under the radar ups that we do for the recreation program that people are really going to see as a benefit. It also, because I've used it before, it has been incredibly helpful in getting information out too for the people that have registered for our classes. So updates, if weather related issues come up, it will send out alerts to people that want to have those emergency alerts. So that could possibly be something that really pushes us as far as the marketing and information. I'm excited about this. Keep you posted on how this goes. Regarding the youth programs and us trying to get the lifeguarding situation back up and running, I have put in a request so we can begin the recruitment with the folks that are interested and the kids that are interested, just to see what our pool looks like and what that could potentially look like for training and what I'm going to need for resources after that. So keeping that on everybody's radar. I'm hoping to get those job listings by the end of November up. Because in recreation, you got a program for summer and the winter time, especially something this big that requires so many moving parts to make it a successful transition into summer. We will be opening up that pool at the end of November, beginning of December.
What's the minimum amount of lifeguards that you have to sustain the program?
If I wanted to get like a full-blown lifeguard program going Sunday through Sunday at City Beach, we would probably be looking at 12 minimum. But if we were able to do a partial guarding where on one side there isn't going to be a guard where the playground is, but then where the families tend to gather a little bit more and we have all of those stationed, we could probably cut that need in half. It just we would have to get a little bit more of a consultation on what that looks like for our waterfront. We had 5 apply the last time, and once one person saw that there was only 5, he pulled his application. There's a lot to that job. It's a great job to have. It's a ton of responsibility, and it's the responsibility of the people that are supervising that these guys are getting the breaks that they need. Their eyes aren't zoning out on one area because they've been on a stand for too long, which causes a lot of liability and it puts the swimmers at risk. We need to make sure that one lifeguard, it may look good, but it's not safe. It's better to have none than it is to have one. But it's always better to have 6 than it is to have none as well. So hopefully we'll see what that pool does look like and if there's adjustments that need to be made to, incentivize the position. So.
Are you guys working with the YMCA at all on that and the staff recruiting?
We haven't gotten it up yet to be able to recruit, but I've definitely been in contact with the YMCA. They've been struggling as well with the lifeguarding situation there. And the difference is that they have the deepest pool they have is 5 feet. And we need to make sure that we have that deep water training for the lifeguards ourselves. What would be nice is for us to be able to recruit lifeguards for us. And then if they still need to continue having employment post summertime, they'll be able to transition over to the YMCA to be able to help them out with lifeguarding, or if they're interested in becoming swim instructors. But it's finding that bridge between the shallow water recoveries versus the deep water. And the resources are incredibly limited up here. I want to talk to Bonner's Ferry because they've got a pool, and they've been able to get lifeguards, and we're also looking at the fact that Silverwood's right down the highway, and what are they doing? How are they training? There's a lot of components that to look at, but the resources in our particular area are incredibly limited at this point. So if I can see what the recruitment looks like, I'll be able to see how much money I can spend on potentially bringing up people to train them, or a way of transporting the kids to a correct pool for them to be able to get certified. That's kind of the direction that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I know that at one point, the Y had thought or was brainstorming with the middle school, I believe, to like even teach a lifeguarding class where it would be basically trying to like, create employees through school and kind of have it be a win-win. But if you are ever interested, I know Heidi very well from the Y, and Mike, I don't know if you, Mike, he used to spend a lot of time working on the Y lifeguard training, and I don't know how much he worked with the city. Cami, you might remember his last name, Brohanishin or something like that. Yeah, he is still in town, and he's kind of like been a legend in that arena of our community. And, if you need help getting in touch with any of those folks just to kind of, network or whatnot, I'm willing to help if I can.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Well, and then at one point in time, the YMCA wouldn't allow an employee to work for the city and lifeguard for them. So that might be, you guys might be working against each other unintentionally. So you might want to make sure with Heidi that that's not the case anymore. I used to actually lifeguard here in San.
Oh, did you?
That was, well, back then it was like a really cool job.
You didn't say that in your intro?
So what do you need from us? What do we need to do to keep this moving forward and pushing ideas? And do we need to come back with what's our homework, Captain?
I'm sensing a pattern in some of this, which is exactly what I was looking for. There's definitely a lot of interest in the land and ensuring that we keep it and that we make it available for all potential recreational opportunities. One of the things that the mayor has constantly talked to me about is that he loves pocket parks, he loves open spaces, and he loves the idea of having these parks upgraded and updated that we already have, and be able to make those a lot more accessible for the people of the community. So it feels like that's a message that this group is also interested in. Right. And so that's definitely something that we can bring back and start looking at on what is the long-term plan for our pocket parks and our open spaces, and how can we take things like Hickory Park and update that playground. It's funny, I'm actually getting certified to be a playground inspector. So hopefully by December, I get to go through those classes and be the official inspector of all of our playgrounds to make sure that we're up to code and what we're doing for the community and the kids to play is where we need to be. So I guess I thought I had an idea of what the homework would look like for y'all, but I think
one piece, you and I, yeah, giving all the
I
homework
just
to you.
gave myself, which is great.
One of the asks that we had talked about when you and I met was just the connection points to get the word out. So I think maybe the homework is, that list of contacts or community groups or mediums through which you've communicated information, things like that. I think do our own brainstorming and then bring that back as a deliverable to Katie and to Daniel maybe, to start to help with that process.
I think the app will be huge because right now it's a mess to
Yeah.
get anything done on the website.
Yeah.
So that once that's done and you can show people like, make sure you're on this app, and we can all be ambassadors.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we could do that.
Chris,
Sorry, go ahead.
I noticed too, I was just noticing like the first meeting when we had, who led our first meeting? I'm trying to think of his name, Jason. He had asked us to go through the master plan and to read some of those documents. And then I know Maeve had talked about like, maybe you guys need printed off documents, but like one of the things that's been kind of on my mind with this group is like really understanding those documents and like, oh, you guys have them there?
Yeah, I got them all. I got them binded and spiraled. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I made enough for everybody to grab a copy of both of them, so you can take a look at what had been, put together in 2020, and I think this one's updated for 2023 for the Little Sand Creek Watershed Recreation Plan.
Because I think also on that list with Jason was like talking about the area that is down at City Beach, that you guys were thinking of making the boat launch and like kind of rethinking that. And like that was brought up early on and he kind of wanted our opinion on that and just kind of circling back around to some of the things he brought up. And then I don't think we, you know, have kind of gotten through those things as well.
I will leave these copies with at our recreation area in City Hall, so people can come and grab their copy whenever they have the opportunity. So whenever you're back in town, swing
Sure.
on by and we'll have that available for
Mhm.
you to grab.
Good. I think we should probably look at adjourning. I apologize for getting it confused on the timing. I did look at the schedule that's posted on the website and it does say 4:30. I think that's why I was confused, but
Okay.
I'm happy to end at 4 in the future if that's the need.
What can I make one quick?
Yeah,
If there is any items that y'all would like to add to the agenda, if we can't make any adjustments to the agenda, be 48 hours before the meeting. But if we could just, because Cami is our individual that does our agenda and adds everything to it. If we could get those 5 days before the meeting, just to make sure that we get it done, but no later than 48 hours before the meeting happens. That would be super helpful for both Cami and myself. Make sure our information is what it needs to.
And do we email that to clerk at, the city or to Cammy directly? Just want to
You could
clarify.
send it to our recreation email.
Yes.
Katie and I share that one, and also when we're talking about emails, and you're in a brainstorming mindset, just make sure you're not CCing the entire commission, because that constitutes a meeting and we don't want to violate any open meeting laws.
Blind copy.
So it's like either blind copy or directly to the rec, and then we'll disseminate from there.
Perfect.
And it's just recreation@sandpointidaho.gov.
okay. With that, if there's nothing else, it's adjourned. Well done. Meeting adjourned at, yeah, as well. Cheers, man.
Sandpoint.
Um,